Okay, so we're going to be discussing Chapter 2, Identify Your Intent, and the 5 most important things. My name is David Wong.
My name is Luke Shalinsker.
Luis Barajas.
So here's our outline. First thing we're going to discuss is consider your general purpose. We're going to follow that with write your presentation objective, and then we're going to use your objective to stay focused. Okay, so before you give a presentation, it's very important that you establish what is your goal. What are you trying to achieve? So I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a second to write everything down. Highly recommend doing that. And then I'll go ahead and explain it while you're writing it. So we have 4 things that we generally do when we give a presentation. You could either be telling something, selling something, consulting with the audience, or trying to convince the audience to join you, right? And you're probably wondering what the little spectrum is. So when we're going through this tonight, everything's color-coded and everything follows the spectrum, so you can use that to help answer your quiz questions, okay? So on the left side of the spectrum, we have educating. And what does that mean? That means you're trying to educate your audience. You're trying to inform them of something, right? And that goes with tell and sell. As you can see, it's in red. And when you're educating your audience, you need to have a very high level of control over the audience as well. To the right-hand side, you have generating, which means you're generating ideas. You're trying to use your audience to help generate ideas. And then you're going to generate ideas, you need a lot of audience involvement, right? So as you can see, tell has the highest levels of educating and control, and sell has medium levels of educating and control. Imagine the whole thing as a spectrum, right? Consulting has medium levels of generating and medium levels of involvement, and join has high levels of generating and high levels of involvement. So what is a tell situation? A tell situation would be what I'm doing right now. It's informational. I'm trying to explain something to you guys, right? And once again, to reiterate it, in a tell situation, you want high levels of educating the audience, and you want high levels of audience control, right? So you don't want too much participation. 90% of the talking should be done by you. And when you're giving a tell situation, or a tell presentation, you need to focus on 3 things. That's going to be the what, the how, and the who. Examples of that. What happened during Brexit, How to deactivate a bomb, and who are the new investors? Did I give you guys enough time to write that down? Cool. After that, you have your sell situation. So a sell situation is either I'm trying to sell a product, but most importantly, I'm trying to cause a change of opinion. I'm trying to get you guys to change your mind about something, right? There's going to be medium levels of educating and medium levels of control. So you do want probably about like an 80-20 ratio. You do want a little bit of audience involvement, because if I'm trying to convince you to do something and I'm just talking the whole time and you're not giving me any input, you feel as if I don't care what you think about it. So I do need a little level of involvement. And the important thing with sell situations is you need to focus on the why. Why should we implement the new bookkeeping system, right? And that's important because when I'm persuading you to do something, I have to explain why. I can't just obviously tell you to do it, right? So there's 2 more situations, and I'm going to go ahead and let Luke explain.
Okay, so on the other side of that wonderful spectrum that he showed you, you're going to have your consult and your joint situations. And that's where the audience more or less gets involved in the whole conversation. So I guess a good example for a consult situation is that, let's use UTD parking, for example. I tell you guys, parking's terrible. Do you guys agree?
Yes.
Yes. So for a joint situation, on the other hand, I say UTD parking is terrible. What do we do? I'm using you guys to generate ideas, and I'm more or less playing off of y'all. So keep it rolling. So next up, write your presentation objective. This actually is more or less for you than an audience. What exactly are you trying to achieve with your presentation? So of course you want to stay result-oriented and audience-focused. You're seeking a result from your presentation. By me standing up here and telling you about how to identify your intent, I want you guys to learn how to identify your intent. Focus on the audience. That doesn't necessarily mean I stand here and I'm just focused on you, right? That means I'm kind of projecting to myself how I think you guys are going to react to my presentation. And then, of course, make change to the phrases needed. What that means is that you basically take a base sentence, I project that the audience is going to react to my presentation this way, and you change it to your situation. You know, I could be up here selling cars to you, and I'm going to project how my client is going to react to my sale. And I'm going to pass it over here for the rest.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about these three things that are very important they're very important to connect with your audience and be specific in delivering your message at the same time. The three things are to be specific, be measurable, and to be attainable. All these three things, they focus on the think, feel, and do of your audience, and it's yours as well. The first one, being specific, is just that. Just be specific as you can when giving your speech. Tell them the true points, tell them what you want from it, and keep it simple and get straight to the point. Let them know at the same time how you think, how you feel, and what actions you want from them, so they know how to complete the task. In being measurable, know how to assess your audience. Know that your audience comes in all types of different forms, different ideas. They're all going to have their own world, their own mindset. So know how to measure them out. Know the two difficult things here is the think and the feel. It's going to be hard to know what your audience thinks and what they feel, because if you go around asking them like their opinions or what their views are on the certain topic, they might not be truthful all the way, because they might just tell you what they expect or what they think you expect from them. So the best way in doing the measurable is just on their actions. Know how interested they are, or how enthusiastic they are about the topics you're giving. And if they keep giving feedback, stuff like that, you're going to know how to know who's willing to stay there with you. And being attainable, just have a long list of potential targets, potential goals, things like that, and let them know the specifics of them. Let them know, or rank them, know which one's more important, least important, which one you want it to be completed faster or a longer time. The next one, well, attainable, and that's it. I'll pass it on to Convenient.
Okay, so use your objective to stay focused. So you want to use your objective to help you throughout your presentation process. So from the early stages when you're thinking about what to say, to the final stages when you're ending your talk. And you generally want to come up with an objective before you actually do your research. And a lot of people like to start with the audience analysis and they move on to the intent. And other people like to start with a general purpose so they can collect some information and then move on to the objective. And you may also need to make modifications to your objective. So when new situations come about or other situations change, you would need to change your objective as well. How to use your objective. So as you're preparing for your presentation, you do want to keep your objective in mind when you're thinking about your opening and closing statements. You really want to grab your audience's attention. And when you're deciding on what to highlight and important information in your presentation, as well as with visual aids. So as you rehearse your presentation, you don't want to have too much information in your presentation. You do want to use your objective to think about what to emphasize on and what to cut. And so if you're rehearsing and you have too much information, you want to use your objective to cut out the information that you don't need and you don't want the audience to know. And you also wanted to use it to evaluate your success. This is why you make sure your objective is measurable.
So before we go on to the quiz, do y'all want us to go over any slides again? Manage to get everything down?
Could you go back, I think it's 2 slides,
Huh?
if you don't mind?
Sure. And if anything was kind of fuzzy, feel free to ask any questions right now.
2 from the end, I think it's a little further.
If anything wasn't intuitive or if anything didn't make sense, we'll be more than happy to elaborate. So
That one right there. Thank you.
Pretty important slide.